Page 155. In the movie, Strickland gets distracted by a paper airplane and wanders off to go take care of that, but not so in Booktopia, which means we all get more Strickland action and you can thank me later. So Biff walks away leaving Marty and Lorraine alone. Then Strickland appears at Marty's side and literally rasps,
"What did you say your name was again?" Marty coughed, looked into the eyes which resembled a pair of slit trenches.
And yeah, that weird sentence construction is all Gipe's. But this means our despot avenging angel has slit trench eyes, you guys. I'm having trouble imagining those, but who cares, it's Strickland. He transcends imagination. And wow, eyes are getting described here all over the place. If you want to know what my eyes look like, I will describe them as only as impossibly deep, reflecting pools in which you worry you might drown. Since Marty's already cleared up that Calvin Klein name confusion in the book, he answers that his name is
Marty, Brown.
And Strickland tells him not to slack off. Then he explains to Marty that,
in the vernacular, that means don't screw around.
Which isn't exactly what it means, but whatever. I think it's totally awesome that Strickland thinks screw around is vernacular but slack off, slacker and its derivatives are 100% real English. The bell rings and Lorraine collects her books and runs over to Marty, which doesn't make any sense because this whole scene took place literally right in front of her and nobody moved, so where is she running from? Characters not only show up out of nowhere in this book, they also travel through space and move around in scenes without the narrator bothering to tell us. Because reading is an adventure. Lorraine says she hopes to see Marty again later, and guess what?
It sounded more like a prayer than a suggestion.
Marty walks back to Doc, who hasn't moved around for no reason, oddly, and Doc tells him that George
flew the coop
during this whole Biff thing while saying he had a class to get to, but
it looked like he was getting ready to have a good cry, if you ask me. This is getting ridiculous, Marty murmured. That's the way life is, my boy. Try to be a hero or impress somebody and everything goes wrong. But when you're not trying, you can fall down the toilet and come up with gold.
A good life lesson for us all, I think. Don't try to be a hero, but do try to fall into toilets. There's gold in there. Actually, reading this book honestly has been an exercise in pulling gold out of the toilet, so good work, George Gipe. You have come up with a pretty good poop device metaphor and I've got to give you props for that one. Pages 156 to 157. Marty and Doc wonder what to do next, and Doc finally says,
"You know, it might be better if you took a shot at him alone. It could be he feels cramped with both of us around, particularly since I'm an old guy of 35.
Doc says he's gonna go study those tapes, plural, that Marty made. I guess the camcorder carried too? Because he wants to
know everything possible about that boat and how she operates.
And as a man who actually does refer to all vehicles as boats regardless of their seaworthiness, I approve. This leaves Marty at school with no idea what to do. So he wanders around and reads a book in the school library, since he's already seen the movie that's showing in town.
The afternoon went slowly. Marty wandered around the halls, did some reading at the library, and spent the last period looking in classrooms for George McFly. When he finally located him, he leaned against the wall until his further came out.
It's such weird pacing, but I suppose it's more realistic than all the characters being where you need them when you need them. But gosh, it's hard to keep the Marty McFly will die if George and Lorraine don't kiss tension up when Marty keeps taking breaks from his quest to go chill out for a few hours and enjoy some other story than the one we're currently trying to experience. So after Marty catches up with George and says he's sorry about the cafeteria thing turning out how it did, and George wishes he'd done something. And we take another trip inside George's head.
I hated to see him poor Lorraine that way. If only I'd had there. George paused, sighed. The words ending the sentence rushed through Marty's mind. Nerve? Courage? Guts? whatever, they all meant the same.
Oh my gosh, yes, this is amazing. This is Gipe himself is dissing his own wordiness. I love this.
Nerve? Courage? Guts? Whatever, me. These are synonyms.
George Gipe, still typing out the words into the book anyway. Okay, so here's the inside George's head part.
George McFly simply had no stomach for conflict, mental or physical. He wanted a soft warm cocoon to crawl into and spend the rest of his life, preferably asleep.
And here's the part where we summarize everything just so nobody gets lost.
Much as he disliked him for having that attitude, Marty was now dedicated to helping George dispel his fears and anxieties. Until he summoned up the courage to ask Lorraine for a date, he was doomed to a life of self-loathing and unhappiness. And unless the two fell in love, Marty had no future at all.
Hussey does plot summaries every once in a while because he has plots that are crazy nutty. Gipe does plot summaries every once in a while because that means he gets to type more words. I can't imagine anyone getting to this point in the book and saying wait, why does Marty care if his dad and mom fall in love? But in case you are that extremely forgetful reader, this is the book for you. Also, Marty is from the future. If you are confused about that, please reread this blog up to this point. Marty and George walk home together until finally George says that this is gonna be a tough day for him all around, because first he chickened out about asking Lorraine to the dance, then he chickened out about fighting Biff, and when he gets home he'll have to talk to his dad about college and his dad won't want him to go. Let's find out more about college, as in George's plan for it.